Going live. Did a bleep? It is live. Hello, everyone. Ivana Taylor here. I want to welcome you to Bizapalooza Chat. I am your host, and today's Bizapalooza Chat is sponsored by your friends at the Canon Maxify line of printers. I'm going to post a link here in just a minute, and I'd love you to go and check them out. But today, what I'd really like to talk about is brand personality. You know what I'm talking about. It is that something special about the folks you meet online that you just like. There is something about them. And we talk a lot about on tweet chats and webinars and you name it. We talk a lot about what to do. And we talk a lot about how to do it. But you know, and I know that there is so much more to it than that. It's more than getting someone's attention. It's like really, really, what is it that causes people to like you? Because we also talk about know, like, and trust. And it's like this big mystery of what does it take to get people to know, like, and trust you? And for that answer, my friends, I went to the number one person I know that absolutely rocks brand personality. I'm going to share some stuff with you, but first I want to tell you it's Diana Adams. You see her right over there. Hey, Diana.
Hi.
So Diana has like 130,000 Twitter followers, and it did not start that way. And she didn't get them overnight, but she hasn't had them forever either. So you want to pay attention to what she has to say. I first met Diana, who was with Post Planner and still is, but who was a big brand ambassador for them and still is. I started trolling her on the viral chat, and there's a whole story beyond that. I started trolling, and I don't know if you noticed when I showed up, but I did this entire experiment where I was looking at a variety of tweet chats, and I attended like every tweet chat I could get my hands on. Around this time last year, I started attending, and little by little, I whittled them down.
Wow.
And I got it down to just a couple. And as it turned out, the two chats that are a must attend for me, and she knows this, viral chat and influencer chat, of which you are a big part. So I want all of you guys to put your Twitter together
You're
for
so
the one
much
and
fun.
only Diana Adams. You are so awesome. And I am so, so thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
I mean, you are, and so now I'm going to tell you, you know, for well over a year now, I've been following you, and not just following you, but like dissecting every little thing you do. And so the thing that's really interesting to me, Diana, is how viral chat, and to some extent influencer chat, I think that's like a different thing, but viral chat in particular, which is a Post Planner event. Is that correct?
Right, that is correct. Viral chat is a Post Planner Twitter chat every Thursday evening. Yes.
9 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, thank you. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Very good.
Yeah. So what's really interesting to me is that how you're able, I felt welcome immediately, had never been on the chat, showed up, felt welcome immediately. It was you and Aaron Wall and Rebecca Radis at the time that were like tag teaming this thing. And that's what made me want to come back. And there was a whole personality inside of viral chat. There's a whole culture inside that chat.
Viral cat? You mean like viral cat?
I know. I started, David and I were messing around with that because I misspelled viral chat and put out viral cat and the whole thing. Like, and I think somebody else did it too. And David is taking it on, which is so awesome. But there's a whole brand personality around viral chat that is like exactly what Post Planner is about. How do you do that? Tell me that story.
Okay. Viral chat is a very successful chat, and we everybody at Post Planner is so grateful about that. There is maybe 45 million impressions each Thursday night during the chat, so it's really busy. And we used to have twitter.com/viral chat, a viral chat Twitter account. But for branding, we really wanted to align it more with Post Planner. So now it is tweeted on the Post Planner account. So we've made that transition. It's the chat itself is doing so well. But my big thing is with chats, whether it's viral chat, influencer chat, any chat, is to interact with the people who come, because they're taking time out of their day to come to your chat, and they're coming there to learn something. And if it's not for the people coming to the chat, there is no chat, right? So I try to interact with every single person who tweets during the chat. You know, hello, how are you? Thank you for coming. Welcome. We're so happy you're here. And sometimes there's too many tweets to do it. But I'll be honest with you, during those chats, I have to stand up to tweet. I have to drink a pot of coffee beforehand, and my fingers move faster than lightning. I'm like, right? Because I want to interact with everyone. And to me, that is a critical piece, because there's so many chats you go to, and if you're already known in the chat, sure, people say hello, but if you're brand new, it kind of takes a while to break in. And I think it's just so important for people to feel welcomed right off the bat.
So let's kind of loop around, because I think on one of these chats, you and I got into a conversation about what Twitter used to be. So talk a little bit about your beginnings on social media, because I don't think it was like Twitter wasn't natural for you.
Well, all the way back a million years ago in 2007, I was actually thinking about this morning. Internet marketing was a brand new thing, right? Everybody's like, "Ooh, what's this internet marketing thing?" And so I went to a conference in Toronto to learn all about internet marketing. And the people teaching the conference were talking about this thing called Twitter. And I'm like, Twitter? What is this? And I hadn't been, I wasn't on Facebook. Nothing. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know what the word social media meant. So I came home from that conference, I don't know, a couple weeks, a month, 2 months goes by, and then I grabbed my notebook from that conference, and I'm going back through my notes, and I thought, I need to check out this Twitter thing. So I got on Twitter and signed up. My company is called Adams Consulting Group Incorporated. It's in Atlanta, and I foolishly put Adams Consulting as my username, which I have hated ever since. But it was the first day. I was like looking at my notes. I'm like, I guess this should be the name of the company. I don't know. I get on there, and then all of a sudden, and back then, Twitter was this little tiny community of geeks. Everybody followed everybody. And I remember the day that Oprah got on Twitter, because that's when it started changing. I remember that day clearly, because before that, people didn't know about it. It was just everybody knew everybody. Nobody tweeted links. People hadn't figured that out yet. It was just all about talking to people while you're working during the day, or while you're doing something. You know, you're just chatting with your friends. And I was on there nonstop. I mean, I've sent 162,000 tweets, but I think I sent 10,000 in my first month, because it was, you know, back then it was Shelley Kramer and
Yes,
Misty was on there, you know, Misty and Marty.
and
Misty was one of my first people I met, and Shelley Kramer, and just Glenn Gilmore, Marsh Collier,
yep.
Just Reg Sadler. I mean, we were just all on there together and having fun. It was nothing more to it than having fun. People hadn't figured out how to use it as a marketing tool yet at that point.
So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked everyone else on Twitter just now, which is, what was the first thing that popped into your head when you saw the Twitter thing of like, what are you doing?
First thing that popped in my head was, oh my gosh, I can sit here and talk to people all over the world. But now, however many years later, 7, 8, 9 years later, that's normal. We talk to people all over the world all day long, every day. But back then, it was like, whoa, what is going on? It was great. I remember that, and I remember it being very special, because Misty and I, Misty Girl PH is her username, we became very close very fast, and she was living in the Philippines at that time. And so there was a huge time difference, and we would like make plans to be on there, and we'd tweet music and just this whole thing. And we just thought it was revolutionary. But like I said, you know, now that's expected, right? We do that all day long. So
but that flavor's missing, though. I remember my first days on Twitter, I actually remember tweeting with Robert Scoble. I actually became friends with Guy Kawasaki. And there was another woman who had, I don't remember her name anymore, but she had a store in Colorado, and it was where Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes shopped for whatever. And I'll never forget on this one particular Saturday, she was doing something. There was an event that she was going to, and that required baking, cooking all day long.
Oh,
So she was tweeting out, I just put the brownies in the oven. I'm bringing out the chili. Oh my God, it smells so good. You know, and so like there was all of us completely engaged in her day of baking all this stuff. And that's the part that I think I really, really miss, because back then, I think there was this element of personality in it. You know,
it's like that now.
what's that?
A Snapchat.
Snapchat is like that.
It has. Are you not on there?
I am.
Why am I not following you?
I don't know. It's okay because I have tons of friends, even on Twitter, that I talk to all the time, and we don't follow each other.
Snapchat feels like that to me. It has that very special feel.
And I see so many wonderful people. And, you know, I have to tell you, and this is like a bigger conversation, actually. One of the things that I've noticed, and it's as people are choosing social media platforms, and you have to know what works with your personality. And one of the things, and one of my favorite people on Snapchat, Rachel Reilly.
Oh, yes.
Right? I just love Rachel. Yes. And Joel Comm, of course, he was one of my Bizapalooza guests that I've had before. And one of the things that I notice about the folks who are really, really good at Snapchat is it seems to me like they have this individual persona that just shines. Mm-hmm. Like they're enough all unto themselves.
Yes, you're right. You are absolutely right. And another thing too that I've noticed in those stories is some people don't like to use the video, right? They just do pictures with the little, text on the picture. Got to get in there with the video. You just have to.
You just have to. And I have, and no, and this is why I didn't do Periscope very much. I mean, I try them all, right? And I have the Snapchat thing, and I've done a couple. I just don't know what to do with myself, like by myself.
You know what? You know who? Okay, Hillsfold. Do you know Hillel? His Twitter name is HILZFULD.
Okay.
His Snapchat. You just follow him for a week and you will understand exactly how a brand should use Snapchat. He's had people come to him to invest in his startup after watching his snaps.
Wow.
It is powerful. You got to follow him.
Gonna have to follow him.
Yeah, don't follow me. All I do is goofy, silly stuff.
I don't do anything.
I'm snapping, whatever.
I've done a couple, but I can't say I'm that savvy. So I got to ask you, because this is the entire focus of our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ask all you folks out there too. What is the difference between brand personality and brand identity?
Brand identity. Well, they work together, right? They work together to form your brand image, which is what everybody thinks about you, right? What your Twitter followers, everybody thinks, the perception they have of you. But brand identity is the stuff like your business cards and your website and the things that are visual, your colors, your fonts, those types of things. That's your brand identity. Your brand personality is how you're behaving. It's how you handle situations. It's the emotional aspect. It's the human aspect of a brand, right? It's the when you're humanizing your brand and really connecting with people, that's your personality. I mean, for me, it's all about emoticons. It's like, I don't think I send a single tweet without a happy face. It's so dorky, I know, but I just love my emojis. And but different brands. I mean, think about this. Think about Nike. Think about the Red Cross. Think about McDonald's. Think about Adidas. Think about Gucci. Think about how each one of those brands makes you feel something. Like I love the brand Virgin. I think Richard Branson is so inspiring. People say, people have asked me, why do you love that brand so much? I don't know. It makes me feel good.
Same reason I love that chat so much. So there's something that's going on about the flavor and the personality that has you resonate with it, that has you. And yet the most common thing I hear is that folks, well, I just said it myself, I don't know how to be who I really am online. What is it that goes on there? How do you do it? Is it natural, or do you actually kind of work at it?
I don't work at it, which is why I make so many mistakes and trip over myself constantly. I think you have to be afraid not to make those mistakes, right? But I think it's just being yourself and not overthinking it. And I know as a brand that's tough, because you don't want to spark a conversation that you don't want to, step in the mud, and you want to be careful, but you have to show your personality, because if you don't, you're going to get lost in the stream. Nobody's going to notice you.
Okay, so it's easy enough to say, this is my big peeve with all these chats, Diana. I'm going to tell you my big peeve. And of course, because this is why I'm doing it this way. Because one of the things that's missing for me in a lot of chats is you can't get the detail out. Like all you can say is you have to be yourself. Mm-hmm. Okay, so like how, when you are tweeting under Post Planner, when you are, what goes on in your head?
You pretend like you're talking to your best friend. You pretend like you are talking to your best friend. What does that mean? It means your language. What kind of language are you using? What kind of abbreviations might you use in a text? Maybe you're going to type out OMG. You're going to type out the letter, whatever it is that you would use in your normal life. You use the same thing on Twitter. You aren't so guarded. You have to make yourself a little bit vulnerable and not be afraid to jump into those conversations, not just the safe conversations, but all of them. Just get yourself out there. Does that make sense?
I think so. I will keep poking at you until I'm happy.
Okay, you do that. Poke. Go ahead.
So I'm going to poke. So tell me about your normal social media day. So if I were a camera, what would I see Diana Adams doing? Because you do amazing things on like limited time.
Well, first of all, I'm not one of those people that thinks you have to be on every social media site, because I know what it's like to get burned out on social media, and it's not fun. I was off Twitter for about 8 days. And I think that's the only time I've ever been off since I started Twitter, was that 8-day chunk. And it was like, I was so burned out. So I don't think you have to be on every social media site. I think you pick one, then maybe pick up a second one, and you rock them, right? You master those. You really get a handle on those and build your audience and build the community there before picking up more. Because otherwise what happens is you're running over here and over here and over here, and you're every which way, and you're not really doing a good job at any of them. So for me, I actually have two phones. I have an iPhone and an Android phone. I have a Huawei P9 Android phone, and I also have my iPhone. But I've got Twitter on there. I do get notifications. I know some people are against those, but it's very easy for me just to take a quick glance, and I know what's going on. And I keep up with those, and I interact a lot. Now, there's other platforms like Facebook. I don't like Facebook, so I'm not on there very often. It depends where your audience is. It depends on where your potential customers are and your current customers to really decide which platforms to be on. But just my advice is don't try to be on all of them. It's just not necessary.
Well, and should you have the same personality on all of them? And
well, there are different ways to communicate,
right?
There are different ways to communicate on each social site, but the basic premise of it all is the same. I mean, if you are there to help people and provide value, you're going to do that on every site regardless. But yes, there are different nuances, different ways to communicate, but it's not crazy different. Just little things.
And one of the things I notice is knowing you on social media, and then watching you on your blabs and different things you've done on video, and then now even being in conversation with you this way, very congruent, right? So it's not like I see one person here and then this other person shows up,
Oh,
right?
Have you met people like that before in real life, where you meet them and then you think, wow, that person is so different online than they are in person? I want to be the exact same, right? I want to be,
Exactly.
so when people meet me, they're like, and people have told me that before too, that it's just the same thing, only I'm standing in front of them.
I think that's really important. I actually watch that a lot. You know, we talked about brand ambassadors and brand influencers. And, you know, if a big brand asked me to give them advice on that, I would say you want to pick someone who's really congruent, who
Yes.
when you talk to them, what you see on social media is exactly what you hear on the phone or exactly what you see on video. You should have that same feeling. And Lord knows there are a lot of folks that have more followers, more engagement, more traffic, more like any quantitative figure you'd want to look at. But I think the shocking thing is when I realized that who they were in real life was really not who they were online.
Right. And that's disheartening, isn't it? And what you said goes both ways. It also goes for the brand ambassador, not just the brand. Because if you are considering being a brand ambassador somewhere, you have got to feel completely aligned with that brand. You've got to feel like their values match yours, and you're really excited to share what they're doing, and you believe in them and you want to promote them. All of those things. Because if you're not, then you're just advertising.
Exactly. Exactly.
And there's a big difference.
So I'm kind of curious.
Should I be on Twitter? Let me look.
Why don't you take a look on Twitter and see what's going on over there? I'm asking the question right now. Let's see. I'll tell you what I've asked.
Oh, I see.
Right? I've asked, about winning social media strategies. We asked about the difference. You answered that. Right now, I'm about to ask a really fun question, which is I want to know from everyone. I would love to know what their brand personality is. It's sort of like if I, what do you think your brand personality is?
That is actually a really good question. And I was thinking about that earlier today, because I was like, okay, if I had to describe my brand personality in one word, what would it be, right? What would it be? One word. Isn't that a challenge?
Total challenge.
I know. So I thought, okay, if there's one word that I want somebody to describe me as, would it be a techie? Well, that's nice, but no. Would it be adventurous? Yes. Curious? Yes, but not quite hitting it. I would say helpful. I like to be known as helpful. I like to be known as a resource. A place where people can get information that is going to help them make a decision about whatever it is, whatever, phone, their next smartphone, or, I'm in the tech niche, so I want to be helpful. People send me direct messages all the time. Oh, I didn't back up my Mac and now I've lost, all my pictures. What do I do? Or whatever. And I'm always happy to help however I can.
That's interesting, because yours is so similar to mine, right? Mine, I've thought about enthusiastic. I've thought about all kinds of things, but I always end up with one word, and that is contribution. It's very similar to helpful.
Yours is so fancy. I like your word better.
Well, everyone understands what helpful is. Now, contribution, that's really it's a word that I use for myself, because I see the world this way. And I'm going to tell you while you catch up on the Twitter thing.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to tweet.
You tweet while I talk, right? So in my world, there are transactions. I give you money, you give me toothpaste. That's a transaction.
Right.
Then there's service, which is clearly a step above. I give you money, you do something for me, or something I don't know how to do, or something I don't want to do. Also nice, but it lands a little slavey to me. I don't like that. And then I thought to myself, I like contribution better. So I'm the best way for me to tell you about contribution is actually to use my friend Amy Novakuski, Ginger Snap Works.
I love her.
Get this. So she's the one who's helped me launch Bizapalooza on social. Could I do it? Absolutely. But I was rounding up speakers. I was like doing all this other kind of stuff. And I said, Amy, you've got to help me out, because I had like nothing, like all new channel, right? Like nothing. And she said, absolutely. So she jumps on, we created everything, blah, blah. And then one day she calls me up and she says, hey, Ivana, you wanted this and this and this, and I did all that. But she goes, I actually also made you a Pinterest account because Pinterest drives mad traffic. You didn't tell me to do Pinterest, but I did Pinterest for you. That
Nice.
is contribution.
That is contribution.
It's
good.
it's knowing you asked me to do something and I'm happy to do it, right? But I think there's like more to it than that.
Nice.
It's
And
like knowing what you wanted, knowing the outcome, and then helping you get to the outcome.
I think that's a great word for you.
So I love that. So I want to say hey to David Kutcher. I want to say hey to Social Quant. I don't know if that's Mike or if that's probably David, who is tweeting away on Social Quant. And I want to thank David. Remember how I sent you, David?
Yes.
I sent you your little promo pack. And remember how I said, don't change the links. Remember that? Do you remember that?
You told me that.
I did.
Oh, I didn't change any links.
Good, because I had a lesson from David Kutcher.
I didn't do it.
No, you didn't. I put in the instructions. Here's your promo pack. I have special links in there. Don't change them.
Okay. Yes.
Right? Because Buffer will change it. People will change it. And you just needed to be aware. Because I wasn't aware. I had scheduled a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, holy crap, it changed my links. Stupid thing. So that's thanks to David Kutcher, who taught me about UTM for the win.
UTM.
Right? Exactly. So I'm practicing UTM.
Good for you.
Right? So we got people responding to their little personality. What does David Kutcher say? Friendly and knowledgeable. I like that.
That is good.
Right? I love that. Friendly and knowledgeable. And what did you put up there? You put some awesome stuff in there.
Me?
Yeah. You put a little chart of words.
Yeah.
And Dr. Sabrina Starling says 3 words. Effective. It's for 1 word. If I get 3 words, sharing what works, I get that. I love that.
Great.
Super awesome. Okay, so we had a little conversation about social networks where you feel comfortable and social networks where you don't quite feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
What are your tips for folks who, don't prefer a particular channel, but their clients are there? So in my case, LinkedIn would probably be a much better channel for me, but I like Twitter.
You're not going to like my tip.
Okay, I want to hear your tip.
But it's the truth. You have to figure out a way to make it fun. Because if you don't find a fun element in there, it's going to feel like work. It's going to be a chore. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to be consistent. And you're going to be tempted to just schedule all your tweets and maybe check in maybe once a week when you have to.
Yep.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You have to find a way to make it fun. You got to find your tribe on there. Find your tribe. Start interacting. Start getting involved in the community, because you got to find a way to make yourself look forward to getting on there. Because you really can't fake it.
I know you can't. I don't dislike your advice. I subscribe wholeheartedly.
Oh, good.
So my question for you is, how do you make it fun? What's your least favorite channel and how do you make it fun?
My least favorite channel is Facebook, and I make it fun by interacting. I just make it fun by talking to people and people that I know, and then meeting people I don't know, going to pages that I'm not familiar with and leaving thoughtful comments, trying to, really find value from those and learn from them. But yeah, you have to find a way to make it fun. To me, Twitter is very easy to make fun, right? It's simple to have a good time. Now, people might look at my Twitter page and say, well, that's because you have so many followers, and so people are always talking to you. I'm tweeting and I feel like nobody's listening. That it does take time. It takes time to build up your audience. It takes consistency. It takes commitment. But for me, like I said, I'm not on a ton of social media sites, so I could put that time in and build that up. And I'm so glad I did. I mean, Twitter is special to me. It's as special to me now as it was back then. It's different, but it's just as special.
I'm with you on that. So when you say, I go and I leave a thoughtful comment, take me through the process of you're on Facebook, not your favorite platform, right? and you are about to engage with someone new, and you already know I'm going to leave a thoughtful comment. So take me inside of the Diana Adams brain.
I
as you
find
do
something
that.
I'm interested in. You know, I find something that I'm interested in that they've posted, whatever the topic may be. And I leave a comment, something more than, and this is my pet peeve, is when people say, hey, thanks for the like, or thanks for the retweet, thanks for following me. And that's it. Like, what value does that offer anybody? It's noise, right? I don't want to hear that. Please, just don't. You don't have to thank me. But instead, leave something thoughtful. Leave a comment with some information that is going to help. Somebody might think is valuable, or hey, this is my opinion on this, and this is why, or try to do something more than just the absolute bare minimum, right? You don't want to be one of those people that's just doing the minimum. You want to reach out a little bit more, right? That's what we tell our kids. You know, you don't want to do just the minimum. So, yeah, I think that's important.
So clearly what folks may not get that I think is really, really useful is, it seems to me like when you are engaging, when you're about to engage with someone that you aren't familiar with, whether you're on their LinkedIn profile, their Facebook page, or even on their Twitter account, right?
Wherever.
It sounds like you're looking for, listening for something. And I know that a lot of people, guaranteed that if someone says, thanks for the retweet or the like, or like any of those vapid comments, it's because they're busy and they don't have a lot of time, and they think it takes a lot of time.
And see, that's your perception. That is the image you're going to have of that person or that brand, is that they are too busy, right? You just hit the nail on the head, which is exactly what we're talking about. It takes an extra 10 seconds, okay, maybe 20 seconds to put a little thought in it. And boy, did that, you get so much more back from that. It's so worth the extra, just less, half a minute to say something meaningful.
To say something meaningful. And, I have to tell you that I this is like not on our agenda, but I wanted to tell you something. So I was your guest on Post Planner, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then I got a box of strawberries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the strawberries are gone, right?
No, man, you gotta love Sherry's berries.
But look at what I still have.
Oh.
And I keep this thing. So I have, I'm going to show you my little.
Oh.
I keep this thing up here, right next to this little heart picture gift that I got from someone else for when I'm having a bad day. And so I actually use this as an example for one of my clients, because I said, the strawberries are gone. Everything is gone. The event is gone. The conversation disappears, but I still have this. And I said, now this is like a lovely statement that she wrote on here. I'm not going to read it because it's like really sweet. But one of the things that I said is, when I looked at that and I said, and he's like, well, I don't naturally do that. I said, I don't naturally do it either. I said, but I'm going to deconstruct what this woman actually did. I said,
gosh, you're going to make me cry.
I said, here's what I think she did. I said, here she thinks, she's like, okay, I'm going to send this woman, I'm going to send Ivana this thing. When I think about her, what do I think? This is your one word personality, right? And she's like, oh, she's like bubbly, she's spontaneous, like sunshine. So I'm just going to write that. You see what I'm saying? I guess what I want to say to folks.
It's simple. It's simple, isn't it?
It's so simple, but you just have to stop yourself for a second, because he was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. I'm going to cry. It's so beautiful. And I said, I'm keeping it because it's so beautiful. I said, but I'm willing to bet that it didn't take her longer than 5 minutes to write that out, because she stopped. She thought about that person. She found one thing that she wanted, that she felt represented that person. Right. And then she acknowledged them for it. That's basically what she did. So I think
most brands have no idea how powerful that can be. And it's that connection. It's that, so many people don't even interact with brands because they don't think they're going to get noticed. They don't think anybody's paying attention. They don't think anybody's going to write them back or make them feel special. And so when you do that, you're automatically separating yourself from the pack. It makes such a huge difference. And that brand loyalty, especially online, oh, that's huge. Money can't buy that. It can't.
It can't. Agreed completely. Agreed completely. And I think what's really interesting is I don't know what I wanted to say about that. It's completely left me.
All right, I'm going to look here.
Take a look at Twitter while I reconnect my thoughts. I've just asked a question. But David's responding. Hadel responded. She likes Facebook the least.
Adele said that?
No, not our Adele.
Oh.
Hadel.
Oh. Hi.
Hi. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, on Twitter.
Oh, David says Snapchat. I'm with you, David. I just feel like when I'm all by myself, I love being with other people. Like this is my favorite interaction when I'm talking to someone else. I'm just so much happier that way.
How do you not get that with Snapchat?
Because I'm by myself. I'm not engaging with somebody else right there in that moment.
I see what you're saying.
And that's like really difficult for me. I feel like such a lame-o when I'm by myself.
You just have to get used to realizing that you have an audience who's watching you.
That's the problem.
You talk to them.
I think I'm gonna need like Snapchat personality training, right?
I can give it to you. I love it. And you know, our Adele, she's a master at it. And
I have to follow her because I'm gonna have to follow all you guys, and maybe I'll be inspired. Maybe if I got into I think that's what's missing for me on Snapchat.
Is the community?
The conversation is missing for me. And I think Twitter has just much faster feedback, and it doesn't take a whole lot of who knows what, you know. And David's talking about Applebee's, which I absolutely really love.
Yes, right? Applebee's is such a great example of a brand who jumps in there, gets involved in the community, interacts with everybody without giving much fun. I mean, they got it going on. Completely agree with you, David.
Yep. So we talked a little bit like on question 7, which was how important is it that a brand has a social media personality? I mean, I think it's very important, right?
Oh, yeah, I just tweeted that. Yes.
Yeah, right. And you've got to build that personality around that.
Right. Yeah, like I said, most brands don't have a personality online. Palooza chat. Most brands do not have a personality online, and that's why most brands are lost in the stream.
Well, I think they really struggle, right? And I really understand. I tell you, I have to empathize because think about what the brand is dealing with. You and I are people, and even a small business owner, or whether they're a celebrity or so on and so forth, right? When you're on social media and you are your quote unquote self, right? You just have yourself to manage, and maybe you have to manage a team of so many people, right? You're not the only post planner person. You're not the only one doing everything. There's a few people there in the supporting structure, right? But a brand, I mean, they're mega giant. I mean, Applebee's, that's what I'm saying. Applebee's is such a great example because they're able to appear as a human being, as a small, like that individual that's behind the handle. And you know who else does a wonderful job is Buffer. I mean, we've already had this conversation, lots and lots of people. There's certain brands that always come to the top, who jump in, who engage, who are consistent. How do you think a big brand, as a brand ambassador, and I want to talk about that, as a brand ambassador, A, how did you get to be that way? B, how are you able to bring your personality to that brand and have it be that brand's personality? Or I don't know, chicken or the egg. It's a chicken and egg question, right? Do they choose you because of your personality, or is it the other way around? Okay,
well, first of all, if anybody is listening who wants to become a brand ambassador, you have to prepare for it before you are one, because the brand is going to scrutinize your social media presence. And if they see you getting into a political squabble with somebody, or if they see you being negative and dumping on all your followers when you're having a bad day, they're not going to want you representing them. So you have to really clean up your act, so to speak, get your professionalism going before you even think about becoming a brand ambassador, because that stuff is so important. But In addition to that, I mean, another thing that is so critical, and we already touched on this, is choosing brands that you really genuinely want to support. You don't want to run ads for them. You want to let people know about them. You want to increase their exposure and let people know why you love them. I love Post Planner. That recycle feature on the Post Planner app will bring you so much freaking traffic to your website, and you only have to set it up once, and it's free. Love.postplanner.com. Free. I mean, anybody who wants to get traffic on their evergreen post who's not using that, I'm like, why? No other tool has this. You see the passion in me, right? I'm passionate. I'm passionate about Huawei. I can pick up my Huawei phone, and you're going to think this is dorky, but there's a series of knuckle gestures. You hit it one time with your knuckle, it takes a screenshot. You hit it twice, it's recording your screen. You hit it one knuckle, two knuckles. There's like little recipes of these knuckle taps that are the coolest things. And you can do all this cool stuff. And I'm like, I love this. The resolution, the phone is co-engineered with Leica, which is this huge camera company. The pictures on that phone are unbelievable. So you feel this is Post Planner and Huawei. I have so much passion in me about them that I don't care about advertising for them. I want people to know about it because I think it will help them in their life. That's when you know you'd be a good brand ambassador for somebody, when you feel that way about a brand. But it goes both ways. They're not going to feel that way about you unless you are representing, somebody who they feel would be a good representative, which, again, they're going to scan your Twitter account. They're going to look at your Instagram. They're going to see what you're all about. So it really has to be a win-win on both sides. And I don't know if I answered your question, but
no, I think you did. I think as a small business owner, so whether you're going out there as a brand, you need to be, because here's what I heard. I'm kind of restating it, right? So if you're a small business owner, whether you're a small business owner or a large brand, you have to know what your personality is. You have to stand behind it and connect with other people who resonate with your brand.
Yes.
And I think that is some of the secret sauce inside of that viral chat Post Planner thing. There's the brand that has its personality, who's recruited other people who share that personality. And now all of those people are kind of in the salad.
And it's, yes, in the salad. I love that. Fruit salad, right? And
fruit salad.
It's a community. That's when you know you're starting to build a community. And then it just becomes this organic thing that takes over. I mean, all those impressions for viral chat on Twitter, where do they come from? I don't know. It's crazy, but they're there and it's fun and everybody's having a good time. And we all try to connect with as many people as possible. So yeah, after the momentum gets going, it just kind of takes off.
So I want to say something that David said that I am still thinking about. It's David Kutcher I'm talking about right now. He said something. Oh my God, I had it and now I lost it. Okay, here it is. His answer to question 7, which let me refresh you. How important is it that a brand has a social media personality? Does it make them more choosable? Okay, that's the question. And he says, I couldn't care less about the social media personality of the brand. In most cases, it's to the detriment of the brand. So David, are you saying that because brands are so sucky at communicating their personalities that you couldn't care less? Say more.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I'm sure that he has a good reason for typing that because he's a brilliant man, but I don't.
He's brilliant.
understand.
In fact, Eva said to me, hey, David left an awesome comment. I read it. I had already read it, but I was like, ooh, that is so big. I need to think about that some.
Yeah.
Like
so
my brain needs to process that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know what.
I have a feeling that where he says it works to their detriment. I hope I'm not speaking for you, David. Jump in here. When he's saying that he's working towards their detriment, I'm wondering if it's the lack of one or the inconsistency of one, or like when you land on their Twitter stream that there's like nothing there but push, push, push.
Or when they have, 10 different people tweeting on the same Twitter account, so you get all kinds of different personalities mixed in there because everybody's not using that same brand voice. That happens. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of Twitter accounts, I think Applebee's does this, where the person puts their initials, right?
Yes.
They say who it is. I know Buffer does that.
Yes. Oh, there's Applebee's. Hey, people, high five, Applebee's.
Yeah, and that way by making a little notation who it is, people can get to know them. Oh, see what I mean? She put R-A-R-D.
Yep. which is awesome, right?
Yeah.
David responded. David responded to David. I think there's a whole conversation going on, which is like my favorite thing on Twitter. You know, we always talk about what's your favorite measurement on Twitter. And to me, the most awesome thing is when you have a conversation going on between people and it like spreads like this giant.
Exactly.
Like my favorite thing ever. Okay, so I want to know, what is your approach to building community? Because we just got done talking about that, right? In fact, what's really fascinating is like the viral chat has a personality. Post planner people, like there is a personality there. And it's at first, I do want to tell you that at first, as a newbie to influencer chat and viral chat,
they're very different, aren't they?
At first, I thought they were similar.
Really?
At first, I thought they were similar. But then I realized over time that they're really quite different, right? Really quite different. And that's why I always tell people when you're exploring chats, you want to make sure you go consistently over a long period of time, because you want to, give folks the opportunity to get to know you, because some chats are slower to warm up.
Right.
And you want to also get a sense for what the culture of the chat is like.
Right.
So the question I want to ask you is, you know, how did you guys build up that community? You know, because it was similar people and yet it's so different.
Yeah. Well, Influencer Chat, Ann Tran and Rebecca founded Influencer Chat, probably a year and a half, 2 years ago at this point. And then they invited me to come on about a year ago. So it's the three of us. And we have traveled together, spoken on stage together last fall in Miami, which was so great. But it was really a chat designed to teach people how to increase their influence. And when Influencer Chat was started, it was where there was all this, I don't know if you remember this, but all this negativity around being an influencer. Like, oh, who wants to be what's an influencer? Like, and so it was really all about getting rid of the negativity around it, and focusing on the positive, and really helping people build their influence in their niche. Viral chat is a social media chat, right? It's about teaching sophisticated marketers and social media professionals how to increase their exposure on Facebook and Twitter. So they're similar but different. Similar but different. And you know, when thinking about your topics, that's how you're going to attract the people you want in that particular community. You've got to think about every single topic, because as you know, a lot of work goes into a chat, and you don't want to do it to attract an audience that you don't want. So what we always do for both of those chats is we think about the people who are our target audience for this chat. What are the struggles they're facing? What are the problems they're dealing with every day? For viral chat, what are their Facebook struggles? What are their Twitter struggles? And we do a chat to help them solve those problems. Same thing with influencer chat. How do I get noticed? Nobody's paying attention to me. How do I build influence? It's taking forever. How do, you know, and so we come up with topics that help people move along quickly. And that's how you add value. And that's what's going to make people come back, because they're learning something. They're getting some valuable information. They're like, wow, when is this chat next week? I'm coming back. That's how it all starts. And then you just keep going. And I think it's so important never to forget where you came from. You know, you always hear that. And I don't care if somebody's been on a chat and I've said hello to them 1,000,000 times. I'll do it 1,000,001 times, because I'm so grateful that they're there.
You know what, Diana, as someone who has done, right, I host a chat. I love to go to chats. I've been a guest on a chat. So I definitely, and you've done the same thing, obviously, you know, you do the rounds, right? And there is something so caveman-ish about being acknowledged on a chat.
Everybody wants to feel important. Everybody wants to feel like somebody's paying attention to them. It's very simple when you think about it. And
it really is.
And it's not enough to say, oh, I saw you in the chat last night, but you didn't respond to them. You know, so who cares if you saw me pass by in the Twitter stream? You didn't care enough to say hello. So it's a big deal to people, and not to be underestimated.
Not to be underestimated. In fact, I'm going to share. Eva's probably going to be like gagging herself right now, but I am very self-revealing. Because I think
so funny,
right? Because I'm like, what's the point of hiding, right? And then so anyway, here's my self-revealing thing. When I'm on a chat and I am watching the stream and I'm engaged in conversation, I get juice from seeing how many mentions I get.
Really?
Not even a retweet, not even anything. Mentions meaning like getting into that conversation with someone so that that conversation thing goes long. Like, and if like too much time goes by and there's like not a little mention notification, I like get sad.
Okay, so here's something else that and I don't want to get off topic here, but it's important to be said that when you get rocking and rolling in a chat like that, and every time you refresh, it says 99 plus. Okay, I know how that feels. You may be tempted to slow down a little bit because you're like, okay, wait, this is too much. It's overwhelming. Don't slow down. When you're out of control, you're in control. Keep going. Do not stop. You'll catch up with it. Even if you tweet them the next day, 3 hours after the chat, you will catch up with them. You will acknowledge them. But keep it going, because that momentum, it's like exercising. It is so friggin' hard to get started, right? You're like, and it takes forever. But then once you're going, don't stop. You got the momentum going. Same thing on Twitter chats and social media in general. Keep it going. Because so many times, you see people that get such great momentum going and then they're off there for a week. And they lose it all. And then they have to start over again, and they get it going, and then they fall off. No, just keep going. Don't stop. and that you know what? That's where good tools come in to help you keep it going.
Yes.
And that's a whole different chat, not to talk about today, but that's your specialty, and that's where those tools become lifesavers. When you've got that momentum going, you want to be consistent, but you're like, whew, that's where your tools come in.
That's where your tools come in. So before we get into our Chewbacca training, because we are going to do Chewbacca training.
You are so funny. Oh, I didn't know you were going to ask me to do that.
I wasn't going to do anything until I saw that the video was gone. And I'm like, well, clearly we're going to have to do Chewbacca training. So now the question is, there's another question. Okay, so we were talking about building community, building personality. How about give us a summary of if you're trying to build a personality for your brand on social media.
Yes.
Kind of talk it out. Like maybe like a 1, 2, 3. What's the first thing you should be doing? What's the second thing you should be doing?
I got a 1, 2, 3 for you. And it's a tweet that Rebecca sent out. Rebecca Radice sent a tweet that I've got here. I'm going to, where is it? Oh, here it is. All right, you are going to love this because It lays it out in 3 words, which, I love easy.
All about easy.
Yeah, I'm going to tweet it so that you can see it, and it really says it all. All right.
So you found this tweet.
I did. Okay, 3 C's to relationship marketing success. Conversation, get into it. Communication, share value. And community, embrace it.
Got it.
If you can master those 3 things, you got it. I mean, seriously, you got it. It's not complicated. People like to make it complicated, and it is not complicated.
Right. So social media personality, all about, I think the number 1 hack that I remember is pretend that you're talking to your best friend.
Very simple, huh? Pretend like you're talking to your best friend. Same thing for blogging. I always tell people. Pretend like you're writing to your best friend. No need to get fancy or simple. One thought per tweet. Very simple. Talk to your best friend. Keep it short. Use your hashtags. Use an appropriate hashtag to get noticed. Very simple.
Awesome. Okay, so people, I have to tell, here's what I have to do. I have to get people, I'm going to share this link. It's not the UTM link, David. I am sorry because I am like grabbing it on the run. But if you are not watching us.
Is Twitter down for you? Oh, it just came back up. Never mind.
Yeah. If you are not watching us, then you need to, so it's Chewbacca lessons.
Oh, stop. Okay.
What?
So
what? I want to know. I want to know. It's great fun.
All right. So I'm the biggest Star Wars fan in the whole world, and anybody who wants to challenge me on that, I invite you, because I'm telling you, I'm the biggest Star Wars fan on the planet. As a matter of fact, I got to send people all this cool stuff for Star Wars before the last movie. I had big Twitter contests. The whole thing was great. So several years ago, my friend Kristen Chong and I, she's a Twitter friend of mine, we practiced how to make the Wookiee noise, because that's very important, knowing how to do the Wookiee noise. Ivana, you're not gonna get me to do it on here. There's no way.
Come on. Okay, well, please, I will do it. Give us instructions.
I haven't
What's
done
the
it.
instruction?
Well, you know how a Wookiee talks, right? It's like Wookiee
I'm
language.
not a Star Wars fan like you are. So.
No, not like a duck, like a Wookiee. Wait, okay. You gotta do it. Where's David? We need David on here. He can help us do this right.
What? Oh, does he do it? Here, I will call him in here. I wonder if he'll take it. Let me see, how can I do this? I can do this. Share the permalink. I'm gonna get him. Okay, I have him on. I have him here on the Hangout. He's on the Hangout thingy. I was just chatting it up with him. Where is he? Here we go.
And you got to shake your head like Chewbacca when you do it too. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, you just did that really good. That was a good. That was good. You sound just like him. I think you got it. It's the head bobble. The head bobble completes it. That's it. Sound just like him.
Do I really?
You do. You got it.
There he is, David. Can you do Chewbacca, David?
No, I can't.
No, come on. No, you did not get in here not to do Chewbacca.
Oh,
No,
come on.
I'm not a Chewbacca person. Whoa, just.
I did it. You said David could do it. I was doing it. I have no shame. I'm not even a Star Wars fan.
You're not a Star Wars fan?
I'm not. Why are you a Star Wars fan?
I just love it. I grew up with Star Wars.
I grew up with it too, but I'm not a fan.
To me,
Star Wars, they're the only movies my kids watch, actually. My son, who's 6, won't watch any other movie except for Star Wars.
See, and there's so many life lessons in there from Yoda. I mean, so much you can learn about life and life lessons. I'm telling you, it's so meaningful.
So when did you first become a Star Wars, like, okay, you grew up with it, but like, how did you know you were connected to it?
Because
talk about brand personality, right?
Talk about brand personality. When the second movie came out, when I saw Empire Strikes Back and I found out that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's dad, oh, that blew my mind. I saw that movie like 15 times. And even now, I'm like, okay, is that Luke's daughter, or is that, right? We're still like wondering who's what, how's the story going to play out. On the edge of my seat every time. Go ahead, David. I know you feel
It's all
the same
good.
way.
We were cleaning out my grandmother's house, and we found my little Star Wars figures up in the attic from like back in like the late 70s, early 80s. And my kids play with them now outside our backyard. So I have to make sure that when I'm mowing the lawn, I don't run over R2-D2. But keeping that, it's same thing. Like, it's. I don't know. I'm more attached to the Goonies these days, so I can't wait for the second one, like the remake, not remake, whatever the sequel thing to come out shortly.
So R2-D2 is the first robot that I loved. Like, I felt like he was my best friend, like my pet when I was growing up. I had to have everything R2-D2. I had an R2-D2 birthday cake, and I had R2-D2 everything. I mean, just Star Wars has been with me my whole life.
So, is that why you're a geek?
Probably. It's funny because Star Wars is pretty mainstream now, which is annoying because it used to be just for geeks, so that's not anymore. Yeah.
So, David, I used my thing. I have questions for you about UTM, but that's a whole other...
That's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole other conversation. So I'm actually wrapping things up here. I'm so glad you jumped in. I wanted to thank you, Adams Consulting, Diana Adams, for being here.
That was so fun. I don't want it to be over.
It doesn't have to be over because it will still be on the Twitter.
I'm taking heat for my comments, so I just think it's, I'm having fun over there.
You're having fun?
Well, I'm having fun because like people don't, when people don't agree, it's.
It's awesome when people do. Oh, yeah, we have you in the thing. So what did you mean by what you said?
Which thing?
Okay, I will tell you. The question was...
By me hating Twitter? Because I hate Twitter.
You hate Twitter. Is that what it is? I couldn't even believe it. I was blown away. Okay, so...
Yeah, it's okay.
It says, the question was, how important is it that the brand has a social media personality that doesn't make them unchoosable? And you said, no, I think it kind of makes them unchoosable. That's what you said. So I'm kind of curious.
Okay, so, I look at it as, well, someone's arguing with me that, consistency of your content is personality. And I said, and I'm basically saying, like, I've been on dates where someone is consistent, and that doesn't mean that they have personality. Like, I look at it going, more often than not, people try to be, hip or funny or any other kind of thing to feel like they have personality behind their brand, because it can't be a person, it has to be a brand. And in doing so, it so often falls flat and feels forced and fake and everything else. And in doing that, I feel like it's actually a negative, that you're trying to make it hipper, you're trying to make it something that it's not.
But we're not talking about brands being fake or trying to be hip. We're just talking about them engaging with their audience and interacting with people very similarly to like Applebee's, for example. That's not a brand that is trying to be hip. They're just trying to get in there and get to know people.
I agree. Well, that's engaging. So I think there's something to be said for engaging. You always want to engage with your audience as best as you can. I mean, one of my favorite restaurant clients of mine, they go out there, and more often than not, their content that they share on Instagram is people taking pictures at their restaurant.
Right.
And that's them engaging. It doesn't mean they have to be quirky or silly or funny or hip or anything. It's just them engaging and showing love. And that's fun.
Personality.
See, I don't take that step of I don't know, humanizing a brand just because they're engaging. I don't think that counts as personality in my book. I think that's just engaging.
Well, anything could be personality, right? They could be very specific. They could be very technical. They could be all those things. You don't have to be cool, funny, and whatever.
Well, no, but I think what you just said is actually more personality. Like, if you're technical, like if you're detail-oriented, like that can be that's a personality. I think engaging and just like responding to people doesn't really mean that you have a personality. It just means that you're engaging like you have to engage. I don't know. Maybe it's a matter of semantics, and I look at personality as meaning a whole lot more than just being there and being responsive.
Yeah, I have a different opinion. It could be because I've sent like 100,000 more tweets than you, so I've spent a little bit more time on Twitter. I mean, I'm just saying. When you have talked to as many brands as I've talked to, it just kind of happens where you learn what the personalities are. I get what you're saying, though. I just...
Is it the personality of the brand or the personality of the person that's currently behind the brand?
That is a very good question, because I was actually pondering that the other day myself. When I think about the brands that I love, do I love Virgin because I think Richard Branson is so freaking inspiring, and I love his Instagram, and I love his... Alrighty, there you go. Where's the fine line there?
Well, or like the person from Applebee's who you commented in the Twitter stream, like signed it ARD. Like, so are we engaging with a specific person at Applebee's that we happen to engage with because we like their personality and their read of the brand?
But don't you think that reflects on the brand?
Perhaps until they leave.
Do you see that tweet from Applebee's and think to yourself, wow, that person is cool, but I don't know if Applebee's is? It's all the same, right?
It's the consistency of it.
I don't go to Applebee's. But for me, when I see it, I maybe it's because I'm in the industry. Maybe it's because I think, oh, they've got a good social media manager.
I don't think
as opposed to, I like the brand messaging and personality of the brand.
But they're consistent with it, right? They're consistent with it. I mean, for months and months, maybe a year or more. That's what that's why they have my attention, because they engage, but do they consistently engage? Do they have the same personality when they engage? Is it the same level of engagement? And not every brand has that consistency.
Okay,
I'll tell you, when I drive down the road and I see Applebee's, I think of Twitter.
I do.
I do here's too. The thing, then. Does it, okay, and I feel bad that I'm calling you out, but does it then make you want to go in there and have dinner at Applebee's because you had such an engaging experience on Twitter.
It
Yes.
makes me feel close to that brand, yes. It makes me feel close to them.
I'm with you. So I kid you not. Like, right? So, you know, we all independent folks, right? So I'm meeting other people and we're like, oh, we should meet for lunch.
Yeah.
Now, I have to tell you, before, like, Applebee's, quite frankly, like, not on my top 10, like, not on my wish list, like, ooh, you really want to go to Applebee's, right? But after that, after they kept showing up on the stupid tweet chat, I'm like, we should meet at Applebee's. I can get some shots, post them up on Twitter. They're really going to like that. Like that actually crossed my mind, whereas it would have never crossed my mind before. That's odd.
I wasn't joking, though, when I said, like, where I live, you have to drive out of your way to go to a chain restaurant.
Which is awesome. Where are you, David? Tell me.
I'm in Western Massachusetts, so I would have to drive 10, 15 miles to get to an Applebee's, but to get there, I would pass at least 7 other restaurants I'd go to first.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah. But, I mean, we're different. I think we're different where I live.
That's what
we
it
don't
is.
have that brand. Like, we develop affinities to local brands, not to chain brands, at which point we know the person behind it because we actually know that person.
Right.
I
For
don't
me,
know.
it's all online. For me, it's
Yeah.
all online, and I make purchases based on Twitter and Pinterest and reviews. I read reviews before I buy anything on Amazon. It's all online. So it's just different. But I live in Atlanta. I
But
don't
see-
have that.
Okay, you live in Atlanta. So, okay, have you been to Two Urban Licks?
Who?
Two Urban Licks, or
What is that?
or the Painted Pin, or One Midtown Kitchen,
No.
Okay, so then I need to give you a list of my restaurant clients in Atlanta that you need to go to visit. And then you have to tell me whether their social media would align with what they are in the actual restaurant and what you would do differently.
Snapchat.
We're trying that with a different client, and we're kind of curious to see what it does. We're running a Snapchat experiment to see if it actually makes any kind of bump whatsoever.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. This is like so great. You guys are so awesome. I'm so excited.
I can give you a laundry list of
I'm just
restaurants.
glad that I got to talk to David because I've been seeing him on Twitter, even though he now has admitted that he hates Twitter, but I've been seeing him on Twitter and wanted to talk to him.
Doesn't mean that I don't do it. I just hate it.
Oh. Hey, David.
It's like taking my
question for you.
medicine.
How is your let's follow each other Twitter list working out?
They've all followed me.
Yep. That's a good one. That was a good experiment.
That's actually brilliant, by the way, to do that. You need to explain that, or I can explain it, but go ahead, David, because that was a brilliant idea.
It wasn't my idea. It was playing off of Ivana's idea.
Oh,
Because we were on a tweet chat on your tweet. I don't know. We were on something. No, it was a blab. And
Yes.
and then David and I got into this conversation about Twitter lists, and then the whole tip was you should put them on a Twitter list. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make a Twitter list of why aren't we following each other. He's like, that would be awesome.
yeah, that is, because people see that, they notice it. Absolutely, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's
Right
and
there.
actually it's a lot of fun. So I actually, I'll add people on there, and because I'm using Social Quant, what happens is I follow all of them, right? But then if they don't follow me back, it'll unfollow them. Then I can always look at that list and see how many out of all the people I asked, how many of them are following me and how many of them are not following me. And
That's
then I get like sort of what do you call it? Like working my way up. Like there's some people, honestly, I'm friends with people, like close friends with people, and I'll look on my stream and we don't follow each other. And I'm like, how is that even possible?
I
But,
love how where if you somehow manage to get like 3 people to follow you, then all of their friends will follow you. So it's your way of working yourself up. Is that it's just pure gamification. Like it's not. I'm convinced nobody reads their stream first of all, but after that, it's just pure gamification about I'm following this person and they're following me back, and I don't know. There's something about it just. And I've been on it since like 2007, and it still drives me nuts. But yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. You guys are so awesome. I should let you go back to work.
I'm going to go to Pilates. I need to stretch.
Oh, go to Pilates. I'm gonna.
My wife owns a Pilates studio. I have no choice. If I don't go, she's like, "Oh, you're looking kind of pathetic this week."
I'm getting messages like you need to shut this thing down. Well, I'm like, we are shut down. This is like the post backstage convo. People.
Oh boy,
Okay,
yes.
well, I'm going to wait. You guys like hang out there. I'm going to say goodbye to all our wonderful guests. Our guest next week, by the way, is Pam. I'm going to say her name wrong. Dubner. She's awesome. She's an author. We're going to have her here. She's fantastic. Watch the hashtag BizzoPalooza chat for more information. Thank you all for being here. Diana Adams, you rock.
Thank you for having me. It's great to see you, meet you, David.
You too, and let's keep in touch.
Absolutely.